The Black Death was one of the deadliest pandemics the world has ever seen. It spread across Europe between 1347 and 1351, caused by a deadly bacterium known as Yersinia pestis. It traveled silently, carried by fleas living on rats aboard merchant ships, spreading through major trade routes. Cities were overwhelmed, and entire villages had no defense against it. People fell sick without warning. High fevers, chills, and weakness quickly took over their bodies. Painful swollen lymph nodes known as buboes appeared as the infection spread. Within days, the condition worsened. Internal bleeding began, skin darkened, and death followed quickly. At the time, medicine had no answer. Doctors were powerless. Fear spread faster than the disease itself. Families abandoned loved ones, and communities collapsed under the weight of death. By the time it ended, tens of millions were gone, and nearly half of Europe's population had been wiped out. It changed the course of history forever. The Holocaust remains one of the darkest chapters in human history. During World War II, Nazi Germany carried out a systematic genocide, murdering 6 million Jews. It began with discrimination, laws that stripped people of their rights and identity. They were isolated, dehumanized, and pushed out of society. But it did not stop there. It escalated into what became known as the final solution. Families were deported and forced onto trains, sent to camps like Auschwitz-Birkenau and Treblinka, where survival was almost impossible. Gas chambers, forced labor, and starvation became the reality for millions. The violence extended beyond Jewish people to include Romani individuals, disabled people, and political opponents. When the war ended in 1945, the world was confronted with the full scale of the horror. The cruelty was unimaginable, and it became a lasting warning of what hatred can lead to. December 2nd, 1984, a silent disaster struck Bhopal, India. A pesticide plant leaked a highly toxic gas into the air, spreading a deadly cloud across the sleeping city. People woke up choking, their eyes burning, their lungs collapsing. Panic spread instantly as thousands ran through the streets trying to escape. Many collapsed where they stood. Within days, thousands had died. And over time, the death toll rose into the tens of thousands. Hundreds of thousands more suffered long-term illnesses, including respiratory damage and blindness. The tragedy was worsened by poor safety systems and negligence. Warnings were ignored and critical systems failed. Even decades later, the damage continues to affect the people of Bhopal. It remains a haunting example of how human carelessness can lead to unimaginable destruction. Rwanda became the site of one of the fastest genocides in modern history. In just 100 days, around 800,000 people were killed. Most of the victims were Tutsi civilians, targeted by extremist groups. The violence was fueled by deep ethnic divisions and years of propaganda that spread fear and hatred. What made it even more terrifying was how personal it became. Neighbors turned against neighbors, and entire communities were torn apart. Radio broadcasts encouraged violence, pushing ordinary people toward acts of brutality. The world watched but failed to act in time. The Titanic sank in the icy waters of the North Atlantic. It was the largest and most luxurious ship of its time, seen as a symbol of human achievement. Many believed it was unsinkable, but after striking an iceberg, that belief shattered. The ship began to sink rapidly, and chaos followed. There were not enough lifeboats for everyone, and evacuation efforts were disorganized. Over 1,500 people lost their lives. Class divisions played a role, as many third-class passengers were unable to escape in time. On September 11, 2001, the world changed in a single morning. 4 planes were hijacked and used as weapons. 2 struck the Twin Towers in New York City. 1 hit the Pentagon, and another crashed after passengers resisted. Nearly 3,000 people lost their lives. The towers collapsed, sending shockwaves across the world. The attack reshaped global politics, security, and the way nations responded to threats. It remains one of the most significant and tragic events of modern history. On December 26, 2004, a massive earthquake beneath the Indian Ocean triggered one of the deadliest natural disasters in recorded history. A powerful tsunami sent waves crashing into coastlines across multiple countries. Entire communities were wiped out within minutes. Over 230,000 people lost their lives and millions were left homeless. The destruction was immediate and overwhelming. It highlighted the immense power of nature and the vulnerability of human life. Years later, disasters continued to remind humanity of its fragility. Earthquakes, disease outbreaks, and conflicts across the globe, from Haiti to Nepal and from epidemics to natural catastrophes. Each event left deep scars that still remain today. These tragedies may be different, but they all share one truth. Human life is fragile, and everything can change in an instant. History is not just a record of the past, it is a warning for the future. a reminder of what can happen when nature, power, or hatred goes unchecked. And sometimes the darkest stories teach the most important lessons.